Tend to the match, aim at the target. Fun, fun, fun. Hey, welcome to the range. Today we're going to be firing an early hand cannon, which is a reproduction of one of the earliest firearms ever found, and it is estimated to be from the 1400s. All right, let's check her out. So I've got the hand cannon right here. It's a bronze tube with two metal straps holding it to a tiller, and has a spike here and a touch hole. Also have a lens stock for setting it off. This came about when I found it in a book, and it's Weapons and International Encyclopedia from 5000 BC to 20 AD. On page 109 of this book is where I found the information on this to make the reconstruction. It had a scale here, and it gives a little bit of detail on it. It says dating from about 1400, before the familiar form of long arm and handgun had been established. This is one of the oldest small arms in existence. The spike was hooked over a rest to absorb recoil, which I'll have to argue that, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's go ahead and get this loaded. So for my loading procedure, I'm using 1F real black powder and a 90 grain charge. It's got an 80 grained round ball, and I'm going to use a grease patch, which I'll cut off with my knife here. And we're also going to do some essentially buckshot rounds, and that's what this bee's nest is for, but we'll talk about that shortly. For the loading procedure, we're going to use our flask. Actually, I said it was a 90 grain, it's actually a 95 grain charge. All right, so you want to make sure your flask is full. Then you're going to pour your powder in. You're going to take your round ball and your patch, which I failed to grease. I would recommend greasing this first. Make sure this is always pointed away from yourself, the muzzle, as with any firearm, and away from anything else. All right, all you want to do is rub that, I'm using boar butter, but there's various different things you can use. Lamb's tallow, beeswax, or a mixture of the two. Right, then we're going to take our ball, take our knife here. All right. And we're going to use our charging stick, just a simple stick. Push down, make sure it's firmly in place. And then what I want to do is take some powder, just a little bit, put it in the touch hole, and then we are ready to fire. Now, we're going to point this down range. Next thing we want to do is prep our match cord here. And the way to do that, see how it's frayed? We want to cut this and make it nice and even. All right, so I cut the excess off, made that even. I'm going to wrap it around itself here so we have a good piece. And that way I'll be able to take that and touch it to the touch hole. I'm going to keep this far away from the powder and my lighter. So I'm going to move out of camera, get this lit, and then we'll come back in. For this first shot, I'm going to use the table with this spike here hooked over the end to absorb the recoil, as they say. You want to blow on your match and tend to it before you fire. Get rid of the ashes on the end, and of course keep your powder away. From my experience in shooting this, it's quite unwieldy to put over the edge of something and aim it and have much success at hitting anything. The other thing, they say that the hook is there designed to absorb recoil, but there's virtually hardly any recoil with this short barrel. So here's what from my experimentation, surmised, and this is also looking at tapestries and paintings from the 1400s, and I'll share some of those. So I take the tiller, tuck it under my arm, tend to my match. I'm aiming. And I hit my target. So with this, it takes a little bit of time to load. So what I surmise the hook is for is a second line of defense, and you can use it essentially as a club, whack somebody in the head with that hook, and they're going down. They're not getting back up. I want to load up now with some buckshot and see how we can do. So these were originally referred to as, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Hakenbüchse, which is German. So to load, we're going to use the same powder charge, 90 grains. One other thing for safety, I always wait minimum of 5 minutes between shots. Next step, I'm going to take some of this beehive material. I really like the outside, but I've ran out of that. The paper just is wonderful. This is going to work as a wadding. Push it down, tap into place. Then I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 45 caliber round balls. Excuse me, 8 44 caliber round balls. A little more wadding on top. And it's loaded. All right, there we go. Woo! I love shooting this thing. The Hakenbüchse, or hand cannon. Definitely fun to shoot. Interesting piece of firearms history. One thing I failed to mention, the match cord. It's just regular hemp rope that is soaked in potassium nitrate, or it's also referred to as being nitered. And what that does, it just makes it smolder for a long, long time and not go out. You blow on it, it just burns better. But it doesn't actually have a flame, it just has a slight char to it, but pretty good amount of heat that it puts out. It's amazing what our forefathers had come up with. I'm gonna go ahead and put this out. The best way that I've found to put out the match cord is pretty simple. You just lay it on something. Sorry for the fingers in the way. Take your patch knife and cut off the burning end of it. Make sure that's away from powder and anything flammable, of course. And then you have your match put out. Pretty simple. Cleaned up, but appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it.